All right, so this one's about shame. Anyone want to know about shame? Shame. Shame. What's up, Cecilia? Shame. Anyone feel shame in their life? Anybody? All right, now shame is a good one to talk about, okay? Because it's a big one. So I just want to play this question here from Sarah, I believe. Okay, so listen up if you can. I'll turn my volume all the way up.
Hi, Jayson. This is Sarah. I'm in Golden, Colorado, and I have a question about shame. Um, I was listening to the podcast, I believe it was episode 12, with Dr. Keith Witt, and was just really intrigued by the part about shame and the role that shame plays in conflict and in relationship, and specifically in parenting, as well as in long-term partnership. So would just love to hear more of your thoughts on that and kind of pick your brain about it. Thanks so much.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. Cool. I love talking about shame. Shame. Thank you, shame. So she's asking, she listened to episode 12 with Dr. Keith Witt. You want to go listen to that if you're not familiar with that episode. It's jammed full of good stuff. Keith talks really fast, and so you want to listen to that at normal speed. And it's just really good. And if you're like integral theory, Keith weaves that throughout that episode. So, shame. We're talking shame today. All right. Sarah's saying, I want to hear more about the role of shame and how it plays in conflict, relationship, and parenting. So let me see if I can take a stab at this. So number one, shame is feedback. Okay, shame is feedback. And shame is essential in your life. I heard a relationship expert once say that shame is a useless emotion. And I just completely, flat out disagree. Shame is so unbelievably helpful. Without it, people wouldn't know what they did right and wrong. Like there'd be no feedback. So shame for children, if we start there, basically a child will feel shame whenever the child perceives that they've done something wrong according to the parents' rules and code in the house. So they put something in their mouth they're not supposed to, and they see their parent get mad or upset, the child might feel a sense of shame, right? Or the child sneaks something when the parent's not looking, and then the parent finds out, and then the tail goes between the child's legs, metaphorically, and they feel bad, right? So shame, we all feel shame, we've all felt shame, and shame is helpful. It's just feedback, right? It's the feedback to the child that, oh, I've done something that the big people don't like, and I feel bad over here, so maybe I shouldn't do that thing again. All right, so obviously some people learn to override the feelings of shame and they turn off the feedback through medication or through a sophisticated defense strategy. And now we're talking about a person who might not feel a sense of shame even though they do things that are really upsetting to other people and that would be wrong in some people's perspective. But most of us are normal, and we know when we've stepped out of integrity with someone else or ourselves. That's when we feel shame. You buy a gym membership and you don't go anymore, you're going to feel shame that you didn't keep going, right? You didn't do your workout. You binged on movies. You got high when you weren't supposed to. This is all shame, and it's great. We need this feedback. It's so helpful. So in a relationship, if your partner has preferences and they are like, hey, I want you to behave according to the rules in our house, or I want you to be respectful to me, or I want you to do this for me and do that for me and not do this for me and not do that for me, or with me. If we break those expectations, agreements, or we do the opposite, or we don't adhere to what's being asked of us, we're going to feel shame. And then usually we'll feel guilt because that's also kind of smuggled in there. because guilt usually is the perception that we've upset someone else. Shame is often the perception that we've upset ourselves according to our own moral code. Guilt is usually has to do with someone else in terms of their thing. Guilt and shame can be woven together, teased apart. It's helpful to know the difference there, but what's most important is please don't think shame is a problem or that it's bad. Shame is outstanding, and it's the feedback you need. All right. Okay, and I think that's pretty much covers it. I teach more about shame in my courses, and again, the thing I want you to get is that it's necessary. Shame is critical to have in your life. Know what I'm saying? It's just see it as your ally and as your friend. So a lot of people feel shame around their sexuality, either how they look or how they no one likes them, or their partner did this, or a man loses his erection, or a woman doesn't feel like she can open up. Whatever it is, you might feel shame because you're disrupting the connection, right? Isn't that helpful? Wouldn't you want to know that shame, like that you have some feedback to know that you're out of integrity with yourself or that you're breaking the connection with someone else? I want to know that. Even though, trust me, I don't like the feeling of shame. I don't like how it feels in my body, but that's the kind of, human beings are dense, and we need that kind of feedback, that painful, heavy, gross, whatever you experience shame as. We need that to wake up out of our habits and trance and bullshit. So shame is your friend, and shame kicks ass. Okay. So I don't want anyone, please, in my circles saying shame is useless or shame is not helpful or shame sucks. Or look, I get it. Shame doesn't feel good, but can you please understand the message of shame? That it's helping you wake up. It's helping you get back integrity. It's helping you, behave in a way that works for your partner. And we all need shame. Shame's great. So befriend your shame. That's right. Hashtag shame is your friend. Hashtag listen to shame. Okay. Get our shame on. All right. So there you go, Sarah. And also it's worth just listening to that part of Keith and I's interview on podcast number 12, jasongaddis.com/podcast 12. About 39 minutes in, Keith Witt and I talk about shame and how shame comes online in kids and why it's helpful, right? So, I wanted to tell one other quick story about shame. Some people have rules around, hey, you can't, no shaming other people. That's fine, but guess what? Shame's going to go underground then. I think it's fine to shame someone sometimes. Someone cuts you off in the middle of the road and your life is at risk. You're going to pull out your shame arrows and daggers and be like, fuck you, like, what the hell? That's just a survival response, okay? And if you're trying to be compassionate and good and all Thich Nhat Hanh and stuff, no one really can do that when they're triggered into the back part of their brain in a survival response. So allow yourself to shame once in a while because it's okay. And I've been shamed many, many times, and there's been times where I've been shamed many, many times where it hurt, and there's other times where me getting shamed by someone actually really helped me. So you got to stop making all these rules about things that are inevitable about the human experience. Yeah, it's preferable. My wife and I don't shame each other. That's an agreement. We don't shame each other. We do our best not to blame each other. And someone crosses a certain line with me, I'm going to probably shame them, judge them, criticize them. I'm just a normal person, and that's how I act sometimes. And I'm not trying to be different there. So also, one of the most helpful, my dad shamed me once in 8th grade, and it was pretty brutal to be on the receiving end of it. But I was in a really entitled stance around some friendships and my work ethic, and he just shamed me just hard. And guess what it did? It woke me up out of my bullshit. And it was incredibly helpful. So if you're also the kind of person that's like judging your parents for shaming you, and you're still in blame about your parents, you need to start looking at how their shame helped you as a human being, and what would life be like if you never got shamed. Okay. So be careful about your rigid rules around shame. Know that it's part of the human experience, and you're going to shame and be shamed, and you're going to feel shame. And that's part of how we roll as human beings. In a partnership, do your best to be clean, respectful, and responsible, of course. And if you get shamed all the time in your partnership, then you need to think about moving on, because that's, go listen to the podcast on abusive relationships. It's like, why are you in that? But often people find themselves, as I said on that podcast, in a relationship where someone shames them a lot because that's how they feel about themselves, right? And it's you're a magnet. Okay, guys, good. We'll stop there. I'll take a couple quick chats, and I hope you guys are thinking about the relationship school this year. It's year 2. We're starting to enroll now for fall of 2017, and what's up? So really stoked to have people coming in, and I'm doing lots of interviews right now, and super curious where we're going with this whole mission. Okay, because I give a shit about, and I know you do too, about like, how do we work our shit out? Well, that's what the relationship school is all about. So I want you to consider investing in yourself this year, coming out to Boulder, Colorado. And there's a number of different ways you can be involved. Okay. The relationship school. Cool. You can find out more info on my website, jaysongaddis.com. And it says the school right up in the upper tab. You can click on that and read about it, right, if you're curious. If you're taking the 9-month class you never got in school, it's several $1,000s. Consider this the college class you never got. I'm teaching the class that I never got in school that I wish I would have had. I'm just like, what's my dream class? Here it is. Okay. And we're almost done with our first year. It's pretty powerful. And okay, let me see if I can take a couple questions. Boyfriend and I are on a break this moment. The anger I have from ex is so bad. Shame and blame a lot. How can I handle this situation for the future? Well, you're going to carry that into your next relationship if you don't deal with it. So go deal with it. Anger, as I've said, all emotions are feedback. All emotions are necessary. And anger is usually you have an expectation. Someone didn't meet it, and now you're pissed. That's anger. Okay, that's the source of most anger. And then get okay with learning how to feel anger in your body. It's really useful. Just take the label off, feel it in your body, and then notice your expectations. It's not that I get angry too when I expect things of people that they can't live up to. I get angry at them. And that's, my expectations are high. So I need to lower my expectations, and then I don't have to feel so angry. Or I need to move on to relationships that, can meet the expectation. Boyfriend has some serious issues with his family, and whenever an issue arises, he disconnects and becomes distant. I try to be patient and understanding, but it does become hurtful. How do I handle this the best way? You talk to him. You say, dude, this disconnection stuff, like, that doesn't work for me. You got to learn how to like, okay, disconnect, fine, but you got to learn how to come back to me so we can deal with this and get stronger through this. What do I do when my husband gives his friend's wife more attention than he does me? You tell him, you share impact. One of the tools that we teach in the school. Hey, honey, when you give her more attention than me, I feel jealous, scared, insecure, and weak, or whatever you feel. And you let him know, hey, I feel really insecure here. And then you might need to speak up. Remember, honor your sensitivity. We're all sensitive as hell. You got to be exactly where you're at. You can't be a non-sensitive person, a more resilient. You got to be where you're at, and you got to play the game from there. You can't try to play the game from a should. It's like, okay, if you're super jealous and sensitive, stop trying to override that and name it and talk about it and be like, this is where I'm at. And then we always, like attracts like, okay? You're attracting someone at your level. You're never getting someone like that's way up here and you're down here, or vice versa. People think that, But unconsciously, you guys are a perfect fit for each other, and you need to deal with all that baggage, right? That's the power. Okay, last question here, and then we'll stop. I recently lost my 20-year relationship with my best friend as I called her out, shamed her in a loving way regarding the things she said about a new love. Her response to this was, I threw things back in her face. You probably did. She then ghosted me for 6 months until I confronted her. Turns out she can't see, call, or text me anymore. Would you say this is her out of integrity with herself and therefore blanked me and blocked me and wants nothing to do with me? I'm guessing you got to look at, no, you can't point the finger at her. It's what did I do? That's the question. What did I do or not do that upset this person? And, some people are going to be able to handle your shame and blame, and some people aren't. And the people, you can't blame people for like running away from you. Like, we're all sensitive. Like when you get a grenade thrown in your face or mean comments, or if you go on the attack with someone, most people are going to shut down or run away. That's just human behavior, right? My fiance and I are in the midst of a 3-day fight. Should we keep working through it or take a break? Yeah, man, stick with it. I mean, take a break, but you got to come back to it. It's not going anywhere. So do not brush anything under the rug. Just, you got to get better tools to get more efficient. And you got to both be practicing so that 3-day fight can turn into 3 hours. Yeah, stay in the fire, man. All right. That's it for today. I like to keep it short here. We'll be back in 2 weeks. If you're just joining us, we talked about shame today. Go back and listen to it from the beginning because shame is your friend. Okay? All right. We'll talk soon.